Welcome to the ARC's presentation on the secret to making all A's. Actually, there is no single secret. Instead, there are many study and learning practices that, over time, can become effective habits of success. The following study hacks are scientifically proven to improve how you remember information. Practice recall immediately after a lesson. Seeing how much information you remember is one of the best ways to form long-term memories. Researchers say that our brains are like a forest, and your memory is in there somewhere. The more times you make a path to that memory, the better the path is, so that the next time you need the memory, it's going to be easier to find. Practice retrieval instead of simply rereading. Create flashcards, solve equations, answer study questions, quiz yourself, do practice problems, and form a study group. According to Brown, Roediger, and McDaniel, the authors of Make It Stick, a habit of regular retrieval practice throughout the duration of a course puts an end to cramming and all-nighters. Although at first it might feel less productive than rereading your notes and highlighted text, every time you struggle to retrieve information, you are strengthening your memory of that information. Quiz before, during, and after lessons. Testing then becomes routine, which can ease anxiety and improve performance on actual tests. Self-quizzing is another one of the best ways to understand and retain information. According to researchers, although at first it might feel awkward or frustrating, quizzing yourself provides a reliable measure of what you've learned and what you haven't yet mastered. Moreover, quizzing arrests forgetting. Practice spaced repetition. Space out your practice over hours, days, or weeks, depending on the material to be learned. You can check out Anki, an intelligent flashcard system that incorporates spaced repetition. Study material more than once, but leave periods of time between study sessions. The authors of Make It Stick say that although at first it might feel less productive than the practice mode, as you reconstruct learning from long-term memory, you are strengthening your mastery as well as the memory. Interweave the practice of two or more subjects or skills. As the authors of Make It Stick explain, alternating between two or more subjects requires that you continually refresh your mind on each topic as you return to it. Also, switch subjects before each practice is complete. Although at first switching between subjects might feel less productive than blocked practice, that is, mastering all of one type of problem before progressing to practice another type, studies prove otherwise. For example, the baseball player who asks for random pitches during practice becomes a better hitter than the player who practices swinging at 15 fastballs, then at 15 curveballs, then at 15 changeups. Use the Pomodoro method. This is basically a method of avoiding procrastination by breaking your work into short, focused segments. Pomodoro is the Italian word for tomato, and it represents the original tomato-shaped timer used by the developer of this method. In order to use the method, study in 25-minute intervals, followed by a rewarding 5-minute break, and then repeat. Follow the address shown on the screen to access the free online timer, and under the custom timer option, you can choose from a variety of ringtones, including Yippee and Awesome. Vary your practice. Read, recite, self-quiz, teach, or watch a video. Create a metaphor or visual image for your new material. Try to work out a problem or explain a key idea before attending class and being shown the answer. Additionally, discover or invent mnemonic devices to assist your memory. An example of a metaphor or visual image for understanding angular momentum in physics is the way a figure skater's rotation speeds up as her arms are drawn into her body. Examples of mnemonic devices are Roy G. Biv for the colors of the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, and King Philip came over for great spaghetti for taxonomy, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. You can make up your own metaphors or mnemonic devices to help vary your practice. Vary the location in which you study. According to Oakley, Sajnowski, and Walker, when you are learning something new, you often take in subliminal cues from the room and space around you at the time you were originally learning the material. This can actually throw you off when you take tests in a room different from the room you were learning in. By recalling and thinking about the material while you are in various physical environments, you become independent of cues from any one location. That helps you avoid the problem of the test room being different from where you originally learned the material. Get your Z's. Sleep is an essential part of spaced retrieval practice that strengthens memory. Getting a good night's sleep before a test yields better results than last-minute all-night cramming. Also, the latest research shows that the brain actually cleans itself of toxins during sleep. Let's listen to an NPR podcast on this topic.
The question of why people and animals need sleep has bothered scientists for decades, and now researchers think that they've found at least part of the answer. NPR's John Hamilton reports on a study that shows that during sleep, the brain flushes out toxins, including a substance linked to Alzheimer's disease.
From an evolutionary point of view, sleep seems like a bad idea. After all, when you're snoozing, it's easy for another creature to remove you from the gene pool. That's especially true if you're a small rodent, says the University of Rochester's Maiken Nedergaard.
For an animal like a mouse or rat, it's very dangerous to sleep because it's much more vulnerable for cats that will come and eat it.
So sleep must have some really important survival function. To find out what that might be, Nedergaard led a team that studied the brains of sleeping mice. And the scientists noticed that during sleep, something odd was happening to the system that circulates cerebrospinal fluid through the brain and nervous system.
It was pumping fluid into the brain and removing fluid from the brain in a very rapid pace.
Nedergaard says the team realized this was possible in part because when mice went to sleep, their brain cells actually shrank, so it was easier for fluid to circulate. When an animal woke up, she says, the brain cells enlarged again and the flow between cells slowed to a trickle.
It's almost like opening and closing a faucet. It's that dramatic.
Nedergaard and her team had previously shown that the fluid was carrying away waste products that build up in the spaces between cells.
It's like a dishwasher. It's floating by all the cells, which are the dishes, and washing them.
That's important because what's getting washed away during sleep are waste proteins that are toxic to brain cells. Nedergaard says this process could explain why we don't think clearly after a sleepless night and why a prolonged lack of sleep can actually kill an animal or a person. But why doesn't the brain do this sort of housekeeping all the time? Nedergaard thinks it's because cleaning takes a lot of energy.
It's probably not possible for the brain to both clean itself and at the same time being aware of the surroundings and talk and move and so on.
And that would explain why animals have evolved to need sleep. Nedergaard says the cleaning process has been observed in rats and baboons, but not yet in humans. Even so, it could offer a new way of understanding human brain diseases, including Alzheimer's. That's because one of the waste products removed from the brain during sleep is beta-amyloid, the substance that forms sticky plaques associated with Alzheimer's. Nedergaard says that's probably not a coincidence.
Isn't it interesting that Alzheimer and all other diseases associated with dementia they are linked to sleep disorders. So the patient would sleep less and less and they would not have deep sleep.
Researchers who study Alzheimer's say Nedergaard's research could help explain a number of recent findings related to sleep. Randall Bateman of Washington University in St. Louis was part of a team that studied how sleep affects levels of that Alzheimer's protein, beta-amyloid.
Beta-amyloid concentrations continue to increase while a person is awake. And then after people go to sleep, that concentration of beta-amyloid decreases. This report provides a beautiful mechanism by which this may be happening.
Bateman says the report also offers a tantalizing hint of a new approach to Alzheimer's prevention.
It does raise the possibility that one might be able to actually control sleep in a way to improve the clearance of beta-amyloid and help prevent amyloidosis that we think can lead to Alzheimer's disease.
The new research appears in the journal Science. John Hamilton, NPR News.
Retrain your brain about procrastination. Focus on process rather than product. Use the Pomodoro method, relax into the flow of the work, and back off from self-criticism. As Oakley, Sejnowski, and Walker say, remember the law of serendipity. Lady Luck favors the one who tries. Use the following steps to stop procrastinating. Notice your procrastination cues. Take stock of your study location, time, and how you feel. Also, change your routine. Your brain wants to skip over the unhappy feeling of obligatory studying into the addictive pleasure zone of avoidance, so come up with a new plan. Third, reward yourself in a small or big way accordingly after 25 minutes of studying or after completing a lengthy project. And finally, change your beliefs. Create a community of like-minded friends, for example. Utilize both focused and diffuse thinking when you're learning something new. Oakley, Sejnowski, and Walker tell us that focused thinking is the type of intense concentration needed to work through a problem step by step. The brain follows a familiar thought process or pattern toward a solution. On the other hand, diffuse thinking is needed to understand something entirely new or to develop a new thought pattern within the brain. Both Salvador Dali and Thomas Edison, when trying to solve a difficult problem, would relax in their chairs and let their minds go free, still vaguely thinking about what they had been focusing on. It is said that Dali held a key in his hand, and as he would slip into sleep, the sound of the key falling to the ground would wake him just in time to gather up the diffuse connections and ideas his brain had been working on. Supposedly, Edison practiced the same technique, but with a handful of ball bearings. Once awake, these creative thinkers could then build on their ideas in the focused mode. Make mistakes. Failure is a constructive part of learning. Like learning to ride a bike or a jet ski, learning new material involves difficulty. According to the authors of Make It Stick, errors are natural and to be expected, and practice helps. People who tackle difficult challenges and persist at them view failure as a sign of effort and as a turn in the road rather than as a measure of inability and the end of the road. Failure, when examined, can even offer critical insights that eventually lead to success. It is an essential experience on the path to mastery. Thomas Edison is said to have remarked, "I've not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work." Embrace your difficulties. The authors of Make It Stick remind us that practices that require more effort, such as spaced repetition and interweaving, will actually make the learning stronger, precise, and enduring. Effortful learning changes the brain, building new connections and capability. In other words, the more difficult it is to recall information at first, the more likely it is that the information will remain in your long-term memory. However, anxiety while taking a test and fear of failure are not desirable difficulties. Researchers say that students who have a fear of making errors while taking a test may actually do worse on the test because a significant part of their working memory capacity is focused on monitoring their performance rather than on solving problems. When you're feeling stressed during a test, practice this easy breathing exercise. Place your hand over your stomach and breathe in and out for 90 seconds, feeling your stomach push out and pull back and your chest expand with each breath. Focusing on your breath in this way can interrupt the brain's focus on worrying thoughts and help you pay attention to the task at hand. Try the hard start, jump to easy test-taking approach. Oakley, Sejnowski, and Walker recommend this method. First, take a moment to preview your test. This is not wasted time, but instead will help you locate the areas that you feel more and less confident about. Then, start with a difficult problem or question and work on it until you hit a part that you're unsure about. Next, jump to an easy question, one that you're sure you can answer. This process allows your brain to continue working in the diffuse mode on the more challenging problem. After completing a couple of easy questions, return to the difficult item with your brain now in focused mode and see if you can proceed with the solution. This approach also works well if your professor gives partial credit. Try the method out with your homework first to see if it works for you. Overall, more than IQ, your discipline, grit, and a growth mindset will assist with perseverance and success. Research shows that our intellectual capability is not set at birth and can change throughout our lifetimes. The authors of Make It Stick remind us that effort and learning change the brain, and your intellectual abilities lie to a large degree within your own control. Let's think back to our first slide about recalling information immediately after hearing or seeing it and put its advice into action. How many learning strategies can you recall? Write them down now. For more study skills assistance, contact the ARC at 478-301-2669 or arc@mercer.edu or visit our website. Thank you for watching.